Imagine settling into your morning routine with coffee and the local news. The camera framing a peaceful lakeside interview beneath a gentle August sunrise. It is just after 6:30 on a Wednesday morning, and everything feels ordinary, predictable, safe. Then, without warning, the sound of gunshots erupts through your speakers, a scream cuts through the broadcast, and the camera crashes to the ground as horror unfolds in real time. On August 26, 2015, viewers across Central Virginia did not merely hear about a tragedy on the evening bulletin. They witnessed it live, raw, and unfiltered, as 2 young journalists were murdered on air. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of The Calendar of Crime. Allison Parker was 24 years old, a vibrant reporter for WDBJ-7, who had already developed a reputation for warmth, intelligence, and a relentless dedication to community stories that bigger stations often ignored. She had grown up in the area, interned at the station during college, and returned with an energy that made her a natural on camera. Beside her that morning stood Adam Ward, 27, a skilled cameraman whose enthusiasm for visual storytelling was matched only by his loyalty to the crew he worked with. Adam was known for his easy laugh and his willingness to arrive before dawn to capture the perfect light. The two shared a genuine friendship, the kind built on early mornings, long drives to remote locations, and the shared language of local news. That Wednesday, they arrived at Bridgewater Plaza, a modest shopping complex overlooking the glassy water of Smith Mountain Lake in Moneta, Virginia, to film a light-hearted segment for the station's morning show. Their guest was Vicki Gardner, the executive director of the Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce, and the topic was tourism and an upcoming festival, the kind of cheerful community feature that begins thousands of local newscasts every single day across America. The sun glinted off the water, boats drifted lazily in the background, and the live feed was already rolling when the 3 took their positions on the wooden deck near the marina. The broadcast began with the easy rhythm, typical of morning television, Allison smiling into the lens while holding her microphone toward Gardner, asking about upcoming events on the lake, while Adam framed the shot with the practiced precision of someone who had done this 1,000 times before. What neither of them noticed, what no viewer would have reason to suspect, was the figure approaching from behind, a man dressed in dark blue clothing, who moved with deliberate, unsettling calm, close enough to brush past the live frame yet somehow invisible to the focused crew. In the space of a single breath, the atmosphere shattered. Gunshots rang out, Allison's scream pierced the audio, and the image that viewers saw next was not the composed interview, but the deck planks rushing upward as Adam's camera tumbled from his hands. The feed cut away moments later, but the damage was irreversible. Tulips were extinguished in front of an audience that had simply tuned in for the weather and the water report. Vicki Gardner, struck in the back, collapsed but would survive, becoming the only living witness to the chaos. Inside the WDBJ-7 studio in Roanoke, anchors watched in stunned silence as their colleagues vanished from the screen, replaced by confusion and then the frantic, dawning realization that something catastrophic had happened on their own airwaves. While police were still racing to the plaza, and the station was struggling to comprehend the loss, the killer was already weaponizing the very technology that had defined modern journalism. Vester Lee Flanagan, who had worked at the station 2 years earlier, under the on-air name Bryce Williams, had recorded the shooting himself with a body-worn camera and uploaded the footage to social media platforms within minutes of the attack. The video spread rapidly, autoplaying into timelines and feeds, forcing viewers, news outlets, and law enforcement to grapple simultaneously with a double murder and its viral broadcast. It was an unprecedented collision of traditional journalism and social media horror, a moment where the public became unwilling witnesses to an execution. Flanagan was no stranger to the WDBJ-7 newsroom. He had been hired as a general assignment reporter in 2012, but was dismissed in 2013 after a series of conflicts with colleagues that management described as troubling and volatile. Former coworkers recalled an individual who interpreted ordinary workplace friction as deep personal persecution, who filed complaints against nearly everyone around him, and who responded to criticism with seething resentment. In the years that followed, he nursed grievances that metastasized into obsession, filing lawsuits that were eventually dismissed, and drafting lengthy manifestos that claimed racial discrimination and betrayal by the industry he had failed to conquer. By August 2015, he had rented a Ford Mustang, purchased a Glock 19 handgun, and carefully planned the attack with the chilling specificity of someone who understood live television schedules intimately. He knew Allison and Adam would be at the lake that morning because the station promoted its segments in advance on its own website and social media. He chose the location not for randomness, but for maximum visibility, ensuring that the murders would be seen in real time by thousands. The manhunt mobilized agencies across the state within minutes of the shooting. Virginia State Police issued alerts as investigators traced Flanagan's movements through surveillance footage and electronic records, and less than 5 hours after the murders, a trooper spotted the silver rental vehicle on Interstate 66 heading east toward Washington. A pursuit began, but before authorities could take him into custody, Flanagan pulled onto the shoulder, turned the weapon on himself, and fired. He was transported to a hospital with a self-inflicted gunshot wound and pronounced dead later that day, robbing the families and the justice system of the chance to confront him in a courtroom. In the final hours before the crash, he had faxed a rambling 23-page statement to ABC News and called the network, ensuring that his version of events, however twisted and self-justifying, would survive alongside the memory of his victims. The fax was a litany of imagined slights, naming former co-workers and asserting that the shooting was a response to the Charleston church massacre. In the days and weeks that followed, WDBJ-7 became both a crime scene and a place of mourning, its staff delivering the news while grieving the friends they had lost in the most public way imaginable. Allison's father became a passionate and vocal advocate for gun reform, traveling to speak with legislators and refusing to let his daughter's death be reduced to a statistic. Adam's fiancée, Melissa Ott, a morning producer at the same station, struggled to continue in the very building where their future had been planned, a reminder that the tragedy rippled far beyond the camera lens. The industry itself was forced to confront uncomfortable questions about security protocols for field crews, the ethics of sharing violent footage on social media, and whether the pursuit of live, unfiltered content had outpaced the safeguards meant to protect the people creating it. August 26th is now remembered not merely as a date on the calendar, but as a turning point when the boundary between broadcasting a story and becoming part of one collapsed entirely, leaving scars on a community and a profession that have never fully healed. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.